Beyond the Wild.
Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Wild. We've got a special reunion because we've got a guy on that two things. So we've got a guy on that we haven't seen for a few months. Special guest host, Mr. Mark Raycroft from Ontario.
I love how much you miss me. It's been a month, but yeah.
Well, technically, but that was only one, and then it was like a month and a half before that too. 2 months.
Yeah. It's been since the end of August.
Busy fall.
Routine.
A good but busy fall. Excellent but busy fall.
Mm-hmm.
Spectacular.
Right.
Yeah.
And he just shushed her.
No.
I saw it.
Watch the YouTube, and JG will make sure he gets that on the YouTube that Mark just shushed our guest. That's never happened before. Ever.
Oh.
But also, I believe this is the first time that we've ever had Pili on the podcast. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, there was a whole podcast ago, some Q&A that we did when we were out west.
Yes.
I participated in that, but that was the one and only time.
All right. So welcome, Pili.
Thank you.
You guys have had some exciting trips here as of late. We're going to talk about one in particular, but we have lots of questions for Pili tonight. Jason and I have secretly been creating a list, knowing that she's going to be on, and so we're going to put her on the spot and get some information about Mark later on. We got to hear from our boys for Father's Day, but rarely do we have the spouses on. And that's not true. We'll come up with them on the spot. We did not talk ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's just taking a whole new angle this time.
So, but you guys have come, I mean, this is a whole fall worth of activity. So it's not just one trip, although we're going to focus on one tonight. There might be pieces and parts of the others that come up. But you guys have had quite the fall. I think have just come back from the east, right?
I just spent 3 weeks in the Rockies.
Oh, in the Rockies. And then prior to that was Caribou?
Prior to that was a month in Newfoundland.
Okay. And then prior to that was?
Prior to that was a week in Nunavik. And then prior to that were 2 weeks in Alaska.
Okay, so let's go back to
No
Nunavik.
complaints.
No complaints. Lots of travel. Probably, I'm just going to guess, and I don't know if you've looked at it yet, but about 200,000 images.
This is crazy, right? What do we say nowadays? Can we be honest anymore?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can be honest. I haven't done a tally, but I was embarrassed by the last 3 weeks being like 22,000. I don't know how that happened. Lots of excitement. Yeah. So for the whole fall, that's a good question. But yeah, I don't know exactly. But
all right. We'll get back to you with the number. If you guys would put in your guesses, whoever comes closest, we'll find some swag to send out to you. We'll do a lightweight hooded sweatshirt for that individual who comes closest to the total of Mark's fall image count. Not just keeper count. This is total overall images. So, and Mark will have to do a tally, but he probably doesn't even have them all downloaded yet. That's not true. He's got them all downloaded and backed up.
And it was 10 weeks of shooting, so that'll help the guesswork.
Okay. 10 weeks of shooting, and one day he had 22,000. No, that was not true. 1 week.
3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Still,
that doesn't seem that high to me for 3 weeks.
Yeah, it
honestly.
doesn't to me either.
Really? Eh? Okay.
No.
1 week in the Pantanal was almost
28?
30.
30? Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Impressive.
That was different though. Boat shooting.
Still.
Yeah. More movement.
Yeah. So this one has been a while in the making. It's the first year you guys have done a trip up north there. And kind of tell us about, first of all, the travel, the adventure of just getting there. Pili, let's hear from you. We hear from Mark all the time, so it's good to have you on.
Well, the traveling went very smoothly. It was the first time we had flown Air Inuit out of Montreal. Didn't even know the airline existed. Beautiful logo on the plane tail. Sort of already an introduction to the culture, boarding the plane. The pre-flight preamble was in 3 different languages, so English, French, and Inuktitut, which was, again,
beautiful.
Just beautiful. What a gorgeous language. So that went smoothly. Flew into Kuujjuaq, which is the largest town in that area, which is just below Ungava Bay. So just to give you a quick reference, you have Hudson Bay, and then the Ungava Peninsula, which kind of comes up north, like in a hump, and then comes back down again into a smaller bay, which is Ungava Bay. And that's part of Nunavik. And that's sort of at the base of Ungava Bay. That is sort of where you would find Kuujjuaq, which is it's the hub of like shipping and supplies and housing, education. Like it's also the sort of the municipal center there. So very interesting. Northern communities, just everything about a northern community. This is my first time way up north. This is as far north as I have ever been, not ever having gone to Churchill. So everything was new. So anyway, arriving in Kuujjuaq and then very sort of efficiently shuttled to the plane dock, boarding, now I always get this wrong. What was that float plane?
A de Havilland Otter.
Thank you.
Yeah. and the flight from Montreal was, which is international airport, 2.5 hours on a 737. So photography-wise, it was all smooth sailing for gear, which is great.
Yeah,
even in the Otter, there's a lot of space in those. And how many were in your group?
We take 8 people plus us, 8 guests, and then there's people at camp. There were 4 individuals at camp support.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So 8 very excited people who had many had never met each other before, but some had. So it was just a great group right from the start. The energy was fabulous. So yeah, it was pretty smooth sailing. And then we had beautiful weather leaving Kuujjuaq, and that doesn't always happen at that time of year. So the 20-minute float plane ride was glorious. Blue sky reflected in all the myriad of pools on the taiga. Just gorgeous, but very bare bones flying. So 1 row of seats on the starboard side, 1, 2, like 6 people, 2 at the very back, and then the entire port side of the plane was baggage, supplies, and everything basically tied down with ropes.
Yeah.
So you could really feel the plane. There wasn't anything really between you and sound and the sight. And anyway, it was an adventure.
Excellent. It was only a 20-minute flight?
Yes.
20 to 30, yeah. 20, closer to 20, yeah.
Yeah. It was really quick.
Yeah. Went really well. 2 flights.
Gear. So you were talking, Mark, about no really restrictions because you're 737, then you're on a large passenger plane. So you guys could take whatever gear you wanted, correct?
Pretty well. I think we were originally allotted. The airline switched booking. Air Inuit bought out Canada North for that route. So with Canada North, it was allotted that we could have 2 50-pound checked bags and then our carry-on. So it was the same for Air Inuit. For this coming year, next year, I'm confident. Well, it worked fine for them, but everybody had one bag, right? One 50-pound bag was sufficient because there's so much support at the camp, and then the carry-on. So there was no issue with either carry-on and the Otter. With the cargo netting and stuff, there was, because it was 2 flights, there was tons of room. And as Pili said, part of that was whatever was left was dedicated to camp supplies and stuff too.
Yeah,
it's the same when they pick us up; they would bring in camp supplies. So there's
when you do those remote camps, they always have to take gear in for the camp as well. That's true. So you arrive in camp, get greeted. Did you guys go right out and shoot, or?
Yeah, it was later in the day, so it was just a matter of getting situated, everybody in their assigned cabins, and getting set up and having dinner and meet and greet stuff, which had happened the night before. We all went to the same hotel in Montreal before leaving. The flight was 10 a.m. from Montreal to Kuujjuaq, so we were in the hotel. All took the same shuttle bus over from the hotel. And then once at camp, it was just acclimatizing to camp, taking in the views. It was beautiful. It was late enough in the day that it wouldn't make sense to really set out far. If an animal wandered through camp that night, it would, obviously would have been game on. And not to jump ahead, but that happened. It was hilarious. We're having dinner and can't say enough about the owner and the camp staff, the cook, the baker, and there's a gentleman who was an all-around handyman there all the time, looking after anything. But we were having dinner, and Dave looked out the window and yelled, "There's a muskox!" And it was like, oh, that's shocking, right? I mean, could happen. You can see a fair ways, but yeah, this muskox bull was coming down a ridge. It was near dark, so probably ISO 8,000 to get something document wise, but it was great to see, and that really launched the enthusiasm very quickly. So that was good fortune.
I'm just trying to. Oh, go ahead, Pili. Sorry.
No, it was just interesting, to see everybody basically just drop their forks on their plates, rush out en masse to grab their cameras, and suppers steaming on the tables, just abandoned.
It was a long way from camp, probably 800 yards, maybe more.
Yeah.
It was not, and it was up a ridge, and nobody was getting to it with the light left, but it was fun to see.
Yeah, I'm just trying to envision the views, and I've seen a couple of images from up in that area that you shared with me, Mark, from other folks, and it's just beautiful, kind of pothole lake to pothole lake, and ridges in between, and you guys hit it, kind of like how Jason and I hit the polar bears in the autumn. You hit the color, correct?
Did we ever? Unbelievable. Yeah. I thought the colors, in the, out west, in Denali were stunning, but man, nothing holds a candle to the intensity of the colors up there, way up north. And yeah, we couldn't have timed it better. I mean, that was the week for that.
And that was your goal, correct? In
this
choosing the slot that you got.
Yeah. It actually, last day was awesome in that we had snow in the air, moody weather, but unfortunately didn't find muskox that day. Mm-hmm. But so it transitioned that whole week. It was like a kaleidoscope of color up there in the rocky landscape. Really, the ruggedness of the rock complements the color so well for the scenery. The interest was fall color this year, and the muskox rut or mating season is from August through to October. So wanting to be part of that for the opportunity photographically for a variety of behavior, interaction with all the different animals in the herd or other ones around, satellite bulls or bachelor groups, stuff like that. So, for our first trip, we really wanted to experience the color. I'll get into it briefly later, but our next trip is in August, third week of August, and then in 27, we're going to go back for the week of color. Mm-hmm. But it's, it was surreal, as color is in the north at that time of year, right? So,
yeah, it was amazing when Jason and I were in the Hudson Bay. It was insane, and then we hit it a little bit better this last year. But I can't imagine, you go a little bit further north, and even though it was, a little bit, well, it was about the same time actually.
Third week of September. Yeah, 13th to the 20th is our next. I think it was the 12th, 11th, or 12th we got there this year.
Jason, do you remember what our dates were?
I was just trying to think. I thought it was early September. I thought it was like that, mainly the second week of September.
End of the first week, second week, yeah.
Yep, pretty sure. But you're not wrong. The colors were stunning. And then on this last trip, white's a color, so.
we have some catching up to do, guys.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Now that we're back for that, I'm looking forward to all the podcasts that we'll be able to record and stories to hear. Got some great ideas, and can't wait to hear about those trips you guys are talking about as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe we don't want to transition to this yet, but muskox have always been very intriguing to me. They're just a cool animal. And I don't think I've ever had any way to get an idea of how big they are. And I was up in Churchill and on this last trip, and we were able to go to the museum this time, which we didn't last time. There was a stuffed muskox in the museum, and being close to it, I honestly thought they were a lot smaller than they are. I was pretty impressed with how big, and maybe this was an anomaly one, but this bull was a pretty good sized animal. I'm thinking like elk size body, but squattier. Mm-hmm. Pretty hefty. I was kind of surprised. And then to hear some of the stories about, which I'm curious to hear from you guys about, how they can be somewhat aggressive, especially during the rut. So there's a smile, but yeah. But I'm sure that was part of the adventure too. So yeah, anyways, what, Mark, do you have some like ideas, like numbers and stuff? I'm sure you do. You don't get into this without that kind of information. So like how much does a bull weigh? How much does a cow weigh? How high are they at the shoulder? Just some basics like that. What do you think?
Bulls can weigh up to 900 pounds. Mm. So when you look at that mass and just their agility, they don't look like they'd be fast because they've got this big, beautiful coat of hair, which is called
caveat. That's not but that's the soft insulating layer.
The underlayer.
The underlayer is called caveat.
So the long guard hairs looks like they've been brushed, right? But as they go through the willows, that kind of brushes their coat, is what the camp owner told us when I accused him of going out and brushing them at night when we were all sleeping.
Because they're so gorgeous.
They are, but yeah. It looks like they would be slow and methodical, and they are maybe methodical, but because of this big coat. But they can move, and they get frisky, and it's tremendous fun watching them. They were not aggressive toward us at all at any time, but we did obviously respect them for their size and for, being close enough to get good images, but far enough away that they behave as naturally as possible to get the rutting behavior and the interactions with cows and calves and just all the things they'd be doing. But we did have. I don't know if we tell the days chronologically or not, but we did have an event on the second day which really highlighted the speed and power and friskiness of these animals. They were watchful and shy of us, but when the photographic opportunities were excellent. The first 2 days were home runs, which on any trip, it just as guides or as photographers who have spent the money and commitment to be there, it takes a tremendous relief off to have that. We were so lucky, and it's pretty fun stories on how that unfolded. So, but we learned a lot about them on those first 2 days, and yeah, it was all good, but respectful because of their size. Totally.
Sure.
Hey, Mark, real quick, could you just, for our listeners, describe frisky?
Oh, that's when an animal that's really big jumps around and moves really quickly. Okay. When I'm talking about it in a context that's for muskox.
Okay. All right. I just want to clear that up. Thank you.
I know that's not what you wanted to hear.
I won't say I'm not disappointed.
I mean, these animals are so stodgy looking. I mean, honestly, when they stand still, they just look like a big boulder. From a distance, they blend perfectly into a landscape. Now, you have to imagine this landscape, right? The Ice Age retreated slowly back up north, and slowly enough that it left thousands of glacial erratics, which are just random boulders. The ice retreated so slowly that these boulders are sometimes in the most crazy positions and angles and defying gravity. So imagine a landscape strewn with that. Now imagine a muskox standing completely still, or even an entire herd of muskox standing completely still among these erratics. They look exactly the same. So when you glass for a muskox, you don't sweep your binoculars back and forth. That would be a complete waste of time. You sort of basically focus on one area and wait for movement. And sometimes you're looking in the same area for 5 minutes. Then you move to the next area. It's really different. It's really different to scout for them. Luckily, where we are, they like this area and they're there a lot. And so we didn't have to do that for the first few days. They were there and they were moving around. But again, for this lumpish kind of creature, when they start running and when they start being frisky, as Mark said, sort of start these adults start gambling like they're calves again. It is incredible. And you realize that you are not looking, as some people might think, oh, these are just like bison or just like buffalo. No, you're not looking at something like that. You're looking at a completely different kind of creature, much more genetically related to sheep and goats. So you realize that when suddenly a full-size muskox will sit back on his haunches like a bear or like a dog, butts planted, front feet are straight. And it's just sitting there going, that is not bovine. That is not bovine behavior. This is a different creature altogether. So seeing them run, it's really contrary to their appearance, but boy, are they ever light on their feet, running over those rocks, running through the taiga. They're incredibly graceful, powerful, graceful. They flow across the landscape.
And some of the images that I've seen reflect exactly what you just described. I mean, they do blend into the landscape just like the rocky terrain, but they also, if you get the right angles, they're set apart in such a way that they almost enhance the landscape just based on their appearance. They're beautiful animals and beautifully unique, I guess I would say. to make that a complete statement. So, what did you guys find photographically? Did you? Well, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. Did you get some video, please? Hopefully, of the friskiness.
Lots of video. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of fun video. Switching back and forth. We had opportunity those first 2 days. We had a lot of each day with the herd.
Mm-hmm.
One herd in particular, which we were very lucky to find. And as Pili was describing the landscape with these big boulders, uh, it's a great experience for people who like to hike. It's not tremendously far or difficult. I've had more challenging hikes, but it's beautiful country because of the topography undulating up and down. You go up over a ridge and then you can see for kilometers or miles, but yet there's dips down that could be hundreds of feet down to a pond that they could be down there and you don't know it. And sometimes it's vegetation down at the pond or these big boulders. And um, just a flashback on how it unfolded. The bull that Dave spotted on the ridge the first night at dinner was miraculously still there in the morning, but walking away. And it was an adventure because he went out of sight and we kind of pinpointed over the ridge, maybe 3/4 of a mile away. And he's just walking, but it's one of these things. It's our first morning. It's an opportunity. Can we walk as fast as a muskox? No, but hopefully he's chill and doesn't go far. This is going to turn into a fun story because of that statement. But we hiked up the ridge and some of us set off. And that's one of the things when I'm grateful to have Pili co-guiding on a tour. If I can set off with some adventurous guests that want to go scouting and looking, and other ones who might want to wait for the radio signal to say we found them, and then she'll come and join. And so I set off with 3 other guests that morning, four guests that morning, and all amazing people. And we went on the adventure, went up the ridge, and maybe got there 20 or 30 minutes after the bull crested. Could see a fair amount, but there was no bull. And so it set off different in a direction and scouted another ridge and another. We ended up probably covering a couple of kilometers, 1.5 miles, circled back. Didn't see any other muskox that morning. Says, "Oh, we were so close. He was there. He looked magnificent. Saw him on top of the ridge, and now we've it's just wildlife photography, and there's no guarantees. So we're downtrodden about the morning. We're heading back. We all love to hike. We learned that part of the countryside, the 5 of us, and I was scouting one more overlook that we looked over earlier, and then I got I guess it was Mark who spotted this bull on the way back down the hill, and he was probably 200 or 300 yards from me when he spotted it. A few of them were walking down the hill while I checked this one spot, and the bull was actually still behind us, but coming up the hill. So we reconnected, came up with a plan thanks to Mark spotting him, and it was just a matter of seeing him for a second going between these boulders, and he'd basically gone over the hill, down a little bit to the right, maybe 50 yards, and laid down. And we covered all this ground, but he was hidden in there, right? So he was surprised to see us when he got up and gave Dave Telling an amazing pose. He peeked over these rocks and he got a great image that's on his Instagram, and looked at us for 15 or 20 seconds and then turned and walked away. And so we let him go a little bit, as far as knowing he wanted to move away. He went a couple of 100 yards and then he laid down in the wide open. So I'm like, okay, let's try this. He's not nervous of us. Let's go on an angle, not straight at him, and close the distance a little bit and try to get some images, and which was really exciting. But as we closed the gap, he stood up again. And at this point, he was only 30 yards from this next little ridge, and he walked away over it. It's like, oh no. Is this going to be a game? I mean, we're not going to do it for long. We don't want to be uncomfortable, but because he'd betted. So again, first morning, let's go walk to that ridge and see what's beyond it. And we got to the ridge. He was walking down the far side, and it's like he planned this. I like to think that. I know it's not. It's the karma. For anybody who does tours with us, we pick up garbage all the time. And my philosophy is it gives us karma. There's no garbage up there. This is way too far from civilization for garbage. But the bull was walking away, and at this point was probably 500 yards away. So we just kind of watched him and said, "Oh, that was fun. Great to see him." And when he got to these boulders, out stepped another muskox, and another, and another. And there were 13 other muskox, a whole harem there. So oh, wow, this has become super exciting. He led us to a harem of a herd bull. There were 2 satellites, this guy being one of them, and a whole bunch, well, would have been probably 9 for 3 calves, right? In that
4 calves.
4 calves. So yeah, 9 females and 4 calves. And so we made our way down to them, and the herd was good. The herd was really chill and were in beautiful settings. And so the people that were with me have been on other tours and very experienced, and Todd and Mark and Barb on that hike. And so I left them because I had to get to the ridge to radio back to Pili because I wanted all the guests to have the opportunity. The light was great. It was a wonderful day. And so they were already on their way. And because we had radioed before, these rocky ridges, you get out behind one and the radio signal's compromised. So we had communicated, we'd found animals, but so they were on their way. So I went back and got them, and we spent the whole group got there and had. This is going to sound cliche, but it was the perfect first day with these muskox, and very grateful. They moved across the country, went to maybe not far, maybe a kilometer, and back toward where we were coming from anyway, toward camp, and went through a pond, walked up a ridge. The behavior was really incredible to learn their interactions and photograph. So yeah, it was a great first day.
Okay, I want to just take a quick step back because this whole time that you're describing the terrain and what you're seeing, I just got this question running through my head. So when you guys flew in, you stated that you were in a bay, and then it was only a 20-minute flight. So how far inland were you? Or were you near the coast?
Inland. No, we were inland 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes, yeah, that's what I was going to
say. Well, by airplane, but how far is that?
Oh, I never got the ground distance, to be honest.
It was quite a ways from the coast. We were
from the coast.
We were south. We were south of the coast. So as I was describing, like Ungava Bay comes down, and then a considerable distance is Kuujjuaq. So we were where we were. It was we were still inland when we flew to our camp.
Yeah. Southeast of Kuujjuaq is where we flew to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
so further northern coast.
This whole time, my thought process is, were there polar bears up there? But if you're that far from the coast, you're probably okay because, leading a group around through the hills and the rocks, and that would be a different experience if you had opportunity to run into one of those. But
that would be international newsworthy. Yeah.
Right.
There were questions. We were asked whether or not there would be polar bears, and
they were 20 minutes away at least. But yeah,
no, they're along. There's no polar bears in that. It's too far inland.
Yeah,
there were bears. We have
of course,
black bear story that was unexpected. About anyway. But yeah, polar bears were not a concern and never have been at this location.
Yeah, that was my question. How far inland were you? And
yeah, I could look it up, but it's a long.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
So, got that first day, and that's your goal typically, right? Anytime you take a group of guests, is to get that first encounter, and you get that out of the way the first day. and not only the one bull, but ended up going back to a harem. Now you talked about, so when you talk about elk with a herd bull and then a couple satellite bulls, was it pretty distinctive size wise? Which one was kind of running things, or was it just you just watch their behavior, figure out who had the herd?
Muskox, when they become fully mature, the bull's horns grow and close on their forehead.
Mm-hmm.
Adolescent muskox have some hair tufts still in between the headpiece of horns. So the herd bull and other bulls we saw the next day in a different story had that full um, set of horns on his head. The one that led us to them was a very pretty bull and was very similar, but he never challenged the herd bull. And looking at them, the herd bull looked a little more weathered, older,
Mm-hmm.
not in an elderly way by any means. He still was coming on to maturity when researching the skull plate of the horns. But and the other one, the second satellite was a little smaller, and you could tell that. But they didn't challenge him. They were just on the perimeter, and they actually at that first morning, after leading us to the herd, those two left. And when the herd came back up the ridge line, those two went further away, and we didn't see them again that we know of. We did see a few other satellite. Let me see. Aside from the exciting day two story, we had a couple other satellite bulls that week, but whether they were the same ones or not,
Mm-hmm.
no idea. But so at that stage of the rut in mid-September, it's from everything that we were told by the camp owner, who has decades of experience, life of experience. He's an elder in the community with these amazing animals. Is that they don't. He's usually established the herds, the harems, by this stage of the rut mid-September, and challenges don't happen a lot. It's more later in August that headbutting can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we didn't see any of that, but we saw a ton of behavior. I mean, the big herd bull, the guys, well, the guests, everybody's joking. I mean, he was salivating all the time. He was all about it. And, he had a frisky state of mind, if you will, right?
Different different use of the, yeah, it would be like definition two in the
Yes.
dictionary, right?
You have to imagine these ropes of saliva constantly streaming from this poor guy's mouth because he can't help himself.
Yeah. Right.
Are we talking about Mark or the muskox?
I'm glad you said it, Jason.
I'm not a bit risky to reply. He was awesome. We got lots of opportunity without drool as well, but he was clearly involved and very active around the females and checking them out. But the herd dynamic with the calves, I mean, you had the cute factor. When they'd sleep, right, you'd have like this matriarch group who they obviously weren't heated that time, but they stayed with the herd. And I mean, there's defensive reasons muskox stay with the herd too, right, to protect the young. But it's yeah, there was a lot to watch and vocalizations, hearing bellows of different sorts, and it yeah, it was incredible, really. As wildlife photographers or naturalists enthusiastic about planet Earth, it was really amazing to spend time with these ancient
These are
beasts.
Yeah, these are relics from the last ice age. They're not even relics; these are survivors of the last ice age. Basically, surviving on the skirt of these glaciers, like and thrive. It's not just even surviving, thriving on the edge at the feet of these glaciers. So it is it is like looking at a prehistoric animal. It is because again, just in their movements, in their movements and and their incredible coats and just everything about them. You feel like you're looking at prehistory. You feel like you're looking at an animal that was hanging around with the mammoths, you know, and so so it
and they were
a version of them
pretty
was.
close, yeah.
That's right. That's right. So even in that respect, you feel transported. I mean, even being up in the far north with the country ablaze with these eye-popping colors. I mean, already you feel transported. You feel like you're in a land before time. That's how it feels. But then you have these prehistoric-looking animals, you know, gliding across this rocky terrain, and it's kind of otherworldly, I have to say. The photographic opportunities were stunning with the color of the animals, the just the geology, ancient geology staring at you. It's just laid bare up there. You can just see it, how old our planet's bones really are up there. You get that feeling. So the whole experience is quite moving. The air is different when you breathe it. Just so many things about it. The quality of the land, the light, the animals, the color. I mean, here comes the cliche, right? It's a once in a lifetime experience. When you do this for the first time, it is a once in a lifetime experience because everything is new and you're looking at it through eyes that have never, you know, it's all a novelty. But in terms of like photographic opportunity, it was, as Mark was saying, day one was incredible in terms of getting the behavior, the calves. There's nothing cuter than a baby muskox, I have to tell you. Just, you know, I thought baby horses were like off the charts cute, but no, baby muskox. So the calves and the cows and how the cows interacted together, and then this huge herd bull who's just snorting and grunting and moving through the herd, and lots of energy. It's a really dramatic place to be, but with the rut on as well, there's another level of, you know, of energy and excitement going on that you just end up feeling so privileged that you have a chance to be there and to actually see this. There's in, you know, these communities way up north where we were, there's the one major port town, which is Kuujjuaq, but then there are these tiny little outport communities, and we're talking only accessible by plane. And yet there they are. But between this center, the hub, and these little tiny habitations where people are such a small factor in this landscape, there is so much land. And when, as Mark was saying, when you get to a high point and look out, you could be looking as far as you can see to the edge. You could be looking at 100 kilometers away, because that's how open it is out there. And I bet you and Jason felt that way when you were up in Churchill, and there's the ocean, you know, extending all the way to the North Pole. You know, there it is. And I'm sure I felt vast that way too, probably.
I mean, it sounds a lot like Wyoming. Small habitation, no trees anywhere. You can see to the horizon, you know.
Wow. That's beautiful.
It is, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, yes, Churchill is similar. However, there's still that kind of air of modern modern luxury, so to speak. There's the port there. There's the railroad. So I think where you guys were quite a lot more remote is kind of is more appealing. I think not to. I'm not bad mouthing Churchill, Drew. So just back off. But it sounds quite a lot more appealing from an adventure standpoint, and I think that's why you go where you go. But it's a great camp, and it sounds like and a solid opportunity to go out and get yourself some tremendous images. One, so sorry, Jason, I keep yapping, so just shut me up if you've got something you want to ask. But I was wondering about distances. So how tolerant were they with you guys after being there for a few days and after having camp there? Without giving away too many trade secrets.
Yeah, we were close enough to get great portraits with your standard telephotos that we all carry. Was I loved the zoom, so that you could do the herd shots, do the landscape shots, and zoom in on the bull or as he's tending a cow, and as these animals do tip their head back, rounding the cow, getting that kind of behavior. It was all attainable with standard zooms or telephotos that we have. I'd be guessing at distances because in the moment, I don't know if we were 50 yards. It varied. It depended on the animals and the situation. Right. But it was all the distances on those first 2 days were all fine to create the caliber of images we aspired to. Mm-hmm. Right? So that was great. The camp is on the end of a lake that's, I think, 5 kilometers long. Mm-hmm. A narrow lake, but it comes and it bends into this cove where the camp is at. So we end up, we set off when I take the guests that want to go early, as soon as we can see safely to walk. We set off across the land from there, but across from the camp is this beautiful cliff face across the water, and it's not very far, maybe 100 yards across or so. There's a peregrine nest there. The peregrines were still there. It was wonderful to see them flying around. And there's another bird species there that, Ron, you'll be really excited to hear that I'll talk about after I tell the day 2 story as well. And there was a wolf seen the week before by the gentleman who looks after the camp. It was seen down the lake, and then he saw it behind the camp. We didn't see it, unfortunately, but there's a lot of wildlife, right? But the muskox were the stars of the show for this trip. But it was fun to see the falcons and stuff too. So on should I jump into quickly summarize day 2, because the rest of the week it's a very quick summary. Day 2 is the second Crackerjack day, where we found the herd. We went up the same ridge that we did on day 1, and I went actually past them to the next ridge, and Dave Talling went to a ridge to the left, and we were in sight with one another the whole time, and he spotted the herd, and so we relocated, got everybody around, and had a second amazing day. Or the first day was the whole entire day until it was evening and we decided to go down. The second day we had them through the morning. Did it go all day long? It was so many weeks ago. But partway through that morning shoot with the primary herd that we were lucky to spend all this time with, new behaviors on the second day, right? I mean, you can't get everything in one day. So to have the ability the second day to get calves interacting and just a variety of situations, then something really surprising unfolded. And I don't know who spotted them first.
It was Todd and Dave. Todd and Dave had walked over to just check out.
Okay.
What was over the ridge.
But I thought we could see them moving from the. Did we see them moving from up there?
Well,
the group. Didn't we see like the animals coming through?
We did see some on the far ridge.
Yeah.
But Todd and Dave spotted them first, and they wanted to go.
Yeah. So we spotted another group of muskox coming down a valley that was near the herd we were photographing. And the herd that we were photographing, it was exceptional situation. So, but we'd been with them for a while, and some of them were sleeping. And so part of our group, Dave and Todd and Barb went to that time, right? And Pili went to investigate these other muskox we could see coming into this valley. And I'm not sure, you probably only went 300 or 400 yards from us. Mm-hmm. And it turned out to be 19 muskox coming through this valley, no calves. And they were, at first, we could glass them all kind of spread out feeding, moving together. But when they, part of our group got there, the rest of us stayed with the main herd that we were at to photograph what was unfolding there. But those that wanted to see what was happening with this other herd, when they got there, the herd seemed to come together. And there's definitely some bulls in this herd. And the movement became incredible. The speed, and then they all kind of in a fluid motion. And Dave had his 800 millimeter and took a video of them running through the valley. And it just was to see 3 or 4 or 5 of them running together in parallel. Really felt like looking at it for me was like looking at cave drawings of these animals moving across the landscape. It looked just like that. And when we ended up going over to meet the rest of the group, and they were just wide-eyed and giddy with what had unfolded with those 19 muskox. And I'll stop talking because you were there and I wasn't. I just heard about it and saw the video and the photos.
Yeah, you were dazzled vicariously.
Oh, I wish. Yeah, I wish I'd been there. But you can't be everywhere, right? There's no point fighting FOMO, right? We all get what we can and be grateful for what everybody experiences. But the stories and the results were pretty amazing.
And as responsible guides, we don't ever abandon our groups. So Mark stayed with the folks that wanted to continue to photograph the sure thing, which is the wonderful maternal herd with the herd bull, which they were still carrying on in a wonderful way. So yeah, it seemed like there were animals coming from all directions, and they seemed to eventually sort of all congregate at the bottom of this valley. And then they, heads down eating, somewhere thrashing, willows. But there was one old gnarly guy who came, we had sort of, when we saw what was happening, we quickly sort of set up, and we didn't want to be standing because we didn't want to draw attention to ourselves. Instead, we kind of just sat or lay lower,
on a bit of a ridge,
which is of course what a pack of wolves would do. Anyway, so one of maybe the oldest, most experienced bull came right up towards us. Still, like, we were on top of the ridge and he was at the bottom, but he looked straight at us and he just bellowed at us several times. And then he would sort of walk away a little bit, few steps. He'd look around, he'd come back, and he'd bellow at us again, as if to say, I know you're up there. Don't try anything sneaky. And also to let everybody else know, all the other animals behind him, like he was between us and the rest of this herd, to let them know that we were there, he was on to us, and it was going to be fine. So anyway, after he told us off, I mean, really, he was just cussing us out in muskoxese. Then he went back slowly. Like, this was an old guy. You could tell just by the way he was moving, and his coat was a little grayer.
Easy, Pili.
Maybe that was coming.
Hey, he was boss. Okay. Anyway,
That was after the running, though.
That was just some of them coming to join the group. Right. They came running down from the hill, right. and then they all sort of commingled. So they eventually all kind of, in a sort of that beautiful wave motion, just all decided to go back the way they came over a ridge and then just disappeared like they'd never been there. There were some stragglers that had gone around the other side of the ridge, and then eventually they came out and looked around. And, oh my God, where'd everybody go? And then they caught the scent, and then they went in the same direction.
Never saw them again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big country.
I'm a little curious. Mark's our resident animal vocalizer. I'm curious what a muskox bellow sounds like.
We'll see if I have something on video. I'm not sure.
All right.
And you know what? I can do bellowing, but it's deep, right? Because they're big. I can mimic a 800 or 900 pound animal's bellow, but it was loud, right? And it's, you've heard. They're not closely related, but you've heard bison. It's a similar kind of call to that. But yeah, that was pretty special and fun to see the excitement on everybody who witnessed that. That big collection of animals was pretty cool. It was one of the highlights. But everybody that was with the main herd was certainly happy with what unfolded there and what they collected too. But so the second day was amazing, and normally Northern Lights are fairly consistent up there that time of year. We only had a glimpse one night between clouds, so it was an unusual week because of weather. The first 3 days we had fantastic weather. The third day we set out looking for muskox, and we glassed a herd, but way too far for us to get to. The water was in the way too. It wasn't possible. So we learned more country, found a muskox skull on the terrain, and had a great day exploring, but didn't collect any images that day. The people that were with me, so we were doing this scouting mission, a few of us, and I think, was that just Dave Todd and I that day on that scouting mission? Yes, it was. So here's what was funny. We'd hiked all these ridges, and again, it was a thrill to do it. It was beautiful to sit up on top of this landscape. But I was glassing around way too far away for anybody to want to hike to, and I spotted a black bear sow with twin cubs. And on this colored vegetation with these rocks, just the black dots. They were probably 2 kilometers away, 1.5 miles or so. But watch them, and they moved incredibly quickly across the landscape. And I didn't know this at the time, but the camp owner, which there are boats there, and so one of the strategies is to take the boats down the lake to find muskox. And we hadn't needed to do that the first couple of days because we'd found them walking from camp. But we were all excited to learn more of the lake and to take the boat rides and to have that. So he took everybody, Pili and everybody else, back at camp down the lake to hike an esker and look for muskox there. And when I was glassing these black bears with Dave and Todd, Pili radioed me and she said she could see us. And I'm like, I had no idea they'd left camp and was doing that. Well, where are you? And then she said, and I glassed, and there they were, these little dots on this ridge way down. But the black bears were covering ground, heading right in their direction. So I'm like, whoa, this could be fun. So Dave Todd and I played narrator to Pili and the group, saying, okay, beyond this ridge, watch for them. You should be seeing them. Why aren't you seeing them? They're I can see, but there's obviously vegetation and some topography in the way. And there's some wonderful images that Dave took with the 800 that pulled them in, even though they're dots, but just to give color in the landscape. And, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of black bears in my life. It's something I'm always respectful of, but, understand their behavior. And with a group the size that was down there, that was probably 7 or 8 of you, right? No, because the the camp owner was there too, obviously. So it was a safe number, for bears. And so, and we didn't want to scare this bear at all, but she was walking toward them, and even to get her in an environmental portrait with the cubs would be fun. And it happened, and she came along a ridge line, and not everybody in the group, but 2 or 3 people got amazingly beautiful images. Mark Jones did. You can see on his Instagram, and Barb did, but it was. I love the picture from the distance just to see them, and of course, as soon as the sow saw the people, which it's probably a pretty rare sight to see people on the landscape where she lives. She and the cubs took off down the valley and disappeared. It was a fleeting encounter, but the images and the color with the black bear and that foliage and that rugged northern landscape was pretty amazing. And happy that some people got it. Did I tell it well enough? I mean, I watched it unfold from a long distance away. It was so fun, and it was
more
great.
That FOMO.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was the guys with me were like, "Why aren't we over there? Let's get over there." It's like it was fun. We all wanted to be there, but
sure,
nothing, aside from beautiful landscape, was happening right where we were. So it was a lot of fun just to watch this happen, and a different species that wasn't expected.
Yeah, I mean, Drew told us that grizzlies, black bears, and polar bears can all inhabit around the Churchill area, but I didn't. Yeah, I didn't anticipate black bears being that far north. I guess not knowing, but that would be an incredible encounter, especially on that fall tundra.
Yeah, they're great. Mark posted 3 on Instagram this past week or so, I think, and yeah, the third one with them in the landscape they're all beautiful, but it's yeah, the magical images. Love, and it just shows their world, and the color of the black bear in with the fall foliage is very striking. So yeah, day 3 had success, just not with muskox, but everybody was ecstatic with what we had. But here's the thing about a trip too, right? I find interesting the more I do is the first day or two, if they're just great, and it's not that they were easy because we hiked for it, people earned their images, but you just think it's going to be like that again tomorrow and the next day because this is how it's going, and it's not. So the weather moved in, wind moved in, rain moved in. And for most of the rest of the week, we were dealing with adverse weather, but everybody was fine because of what the first 3 days experiences were. And on those rainy days, it was, not pouring all the time. It was light rain. There's a ridge up behind the camp, and with the colors popping, we'd walk up there, a half-hour hike, and there would be ptarmigan, believe it or not, mid-molt, and groups of them, and we'd photograph them in the color, and people got to listen to them chatter back and forth. It was kind of a cherry on top experience because we couldn't get to the muskox for most of the rest of the week. There were 2 other muskox encounters. One was crazy cool that people got super excited about, rightfully. We had a bull come on the ridge right at camp, walk to the edge of water, and then swim across the lake in front of the camp.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was interesting because they have such big coats. You think, how does that stay buoyant? And caribou are strong swimmers, and not to say muskox aren't, but caribou rise up in the water. They swim gracefully with no effort at all. This guy, his nose was out of the water. He's a big bull. You could just hear him snorting as he was making his way across, and just the tip of his face out of the water. So it was a surprise and fun encounter for everybody to witness. And
was the water calm, so you get that nice autumn color reflected in the lake while he was swimming?
I wish. Yeah, it was calm.
Not that calm,
but it was a gray drizzly late afternoon.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So it was great to witness, and there were some photos taken and video. Um, yeah, Dave again videoed it, and a bunch of people photographed it, and just to watch it. But it was a bit of a scramble, right? Because everybody's at camp. It's a drizzly late afternoon, and oh, there's a bull. Oh, he's going to water. Grab cameras. So that was fun, and just experience wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did all go take the two boats, and I think this is a great arrangement with the camp, is that there are two or three, but at least the two boats. We go out at the same time, and we needed that for the number of people. But in that remote landscape, I thought it was really smart of the camp owner to have that. What's the word I'm searching for? It's a fail safe, right? If a boat broke down, nobody's going to be stuck.
Redundancy, yeah.
Yeah, exact. Thank you. Redundancy. So we had the two boats. We went down the lake to look at some historic sites there, and not even historic. It was just rock formations of people that had been there long, long ago. But we did encounter another bull on the boat ride, and unlike some of the other muskox, he didn't want his photo taken that day, and for whatever reason. So, but it was just taking the boat ride down the lake. We saw another raptor down there.
There was a golden eagle nest, and that's been used.
Right. Okay.
It's been used regularly.
Yeah, and
for years.
So yeah, it just felt like we were even getting further out on these boat rides, right? Because as somebody who hikes the land, you can doing the math on how to get back to camp and stuff. It was very, very fun and great exploration. But he's been there for decades, so it was very cool. That's how the week wrapped up, and
we haven't even mentioned. I mean, another reason why folks after 2.5 great days were okay to hunker down when the weather set in was because we were so well looked after at camp.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of our accommodations were so comfortable, modern, and then the food was terrific. We had a chef and a wonderful lady who was the best baker I've ever encountered in terms of what came out of the kitchen 3 times a day. It would be cookies or squares or cakes or, I mean, you name it. It was like it's a dessert smorgasbord. Always fresh stuff, and the food was really tasty. It was hearty. It was just exactly the kind of food you want to be eating when there's driving cold rain blowing sideways across camp. You want to be eating, your classic Quebecois pea soup or your classic, shepherd's pie. It was, the food was really good. And, so everybody was extremely happy with the accommodations, and there are 2 hot showers that would run, we'd turn the generator on and be hot showers at night if you wanted it, until 9 o'clock if you wanted it. So,
propane heaters in each cabin.
Yeah, propane heaters in each cabin.
Yeah. And the camp mascot this year
was a lovely dog.
A beautiful Siberian Husky, a Kulik.
Oh, really?
Yakulik.
Yakulik?
Yeah. I forget what it means, but anyways, a beautiful name and a beautiful dog, very friendly. Mm-hmm. Just composting toilets, so everything very environmentally conscientious, and new lovely, thick, beautiful, firm mattresses, and anyway, it was very comfortable.
Some new mattresses came on
a plane.
On a plane with us.
Yeah, we got new tents on the plane to bear camp.
Oh, that's right. I remember that on the last podcast. Yeah, right.
Yeah, there were 0 mattress pads, or not even a mattress pad, air pad. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds pretty comfortable.
Yeah, that's all part of the adventure too, right? We talk about it so much, but the rainy days, the whole experience is all part of it. The smells you get with the rain, I'm sure, was just a whole different experience too, and the colors, how the colors pop with the rain is just yeah, so many elements. But it sounds like an incredible trip.
Yeah, although I'm kind of sorry you told us that last part, Pili, because I had this vision of these rustic sleeping accommodations, and you guys were roughing it out in the wilderness, and then we hear about the new Tempur-Pedic mattresses that flew in with you on the Otter.
So so let's just come clean here. So yeah, our guests had these beautiful newly built gorgeous lodgings.
Really nice cabins.
Very nice cabins.
And they're building another one this summer that looks very impressive. The base was there. But yeah, Mark and Sue and Pili and I were in a couple of older cabins.
They're like original cabins. Mm-hmm. Still warm and comfortable, but real sort of trappers cabins. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Very, very rustic.
It had lights.
But there was light. There were lights.
There's get this, way heck up there. There's Wi-Fi with Starnet.
Starlink.
Starlink. Thank you. Yeah. Starlink. Yeah. So there was connectivity to the world, and that was important because arranging the float plane in and stuff, that was very useful based on weather and working that out. But they're just communicating with people. So the two cabins were rustic, but the other ones were very comfortable, and they all were comfortable. They all had new mattresses.
Everything was. Nobody lacked for comfort or great food and great company. And as Mark was saying, it was really well staffed. The chef and the baker and the all around sort of maintenance man, all delightful, and the camp leader, delightful people, and just all ready to help you out in any capacity. And just really, really good humored. We had lots of laughs. So yeah, all around wonderful first time for us doing this. So glad we did.
Amazing. So, not that we have to be done, but how do people find out about future trips?
Well, okay, yeah. I one quick story that was really cool. The future trips, they're happening. In fact, there's some exciting news about that just opened up as of this afternoon, believe it or not. But there was one, when the first day with the muskox, everybody noticed and did a double take that one female had an ear tag way out there. And it's like, what's going on? So, it was documented. Everybody, I'm sure, has pictures of her because she was really photogenic and there a lot. So we asked the camp owner, and the information was sent in to the Quebec government. And it's a pretty amazing story. So she was collared in March of 2017 and was estimated to be at least 10 years old at that time. And then as of April 22nd of April 2018, the following year, the collar stopped moving and she was designated as dead. And okay, so this is from a biologist in Quebec who we were corresponding with, and he's due to the collar transmission that transmitted a mortality signal, which meant it stopped moving. Mm-hmm. The collar was retrieved by a team specialized on birds of prey in support of their big game team. Little information was noted on site, but we understood from their reporting that there's a possibility the muskox had forced the collar off its head due to loose adjustment. So what was interesting about this cow, she only had one horn. The other one had broken off. So I thought, well, maybe without the other horn, she was able to get out of it, right?
That's how she got out, yeah.
Well, it says here, I just, when I was prepping for today's podcast, read it, the horn was already broken.
Oh,
When they
really?
Yeah, and she weighed 252 kilograms at the time and was not pregnant when captured. But this individual was one of the first musk oxen captured by their team in March 2017, and we have since learned how to compose the thickness of the quiviate in the adjustment of the collars. This is the second time it happened. We can confirm out of 201 collared musk oxen so far in the greater region, which I think you read earlier, there are now about 6,000 in the region. Is that right?
69.
6,900
yeah.
in the greater area. And this most fortunate observation of our group, Todd sent the image in, and will allow them to correct the status of this individual. But what was also cool about it was doing the math on her age, because if she was aged 10 years old at 2017, means that she's 18 this year, and muskox lifespan is up to 20. So it's pretty amazing.
Did she have a calf?
I don't remember at this
Tough to confirm. Yeah.
She might have. I'd have, I'll be editing images for this episode for YouTube all along the way, so you can see the float plane, the scene from camp, the muskox experiences, photos and videos. So I might know at that point, but sorry to say, I recall if she was one of the mothers. And muskox only have one calf a year, and it's extremely rare that they have two, and it's common that they skip a year. If it's been a harsh winter, they won't bear a calf the next year if they've been stressed at all by winter. So that's, wondering how there are only 4 calves. I mean, there are predators around, but there are only 4 for all those females. But it could have just been winter and their overall health, right, too. So interesting species that way. But as far as the tours, on my website, markraycroft.com is where the tour information is. And this year in 26, we're going the 3rd week of August for a variety of reasons to try something different. And the camp owner said that's the only time that he's seen the males jousting, how they back up. They can run 30 miles an hour and then hit each other like freight trains. That's the only time he's seen that. So our fingers are crossed that will happen, but who knows, being wildlife. And the landscape in August won't be color, but it will be dramatic. And there's so much rock and sky situations and water. We're really looking forward to that. We had elected to switch to that week this year, and it had sold out for 8 guests within a few months. But as of this afternoon, 2 of our guests, for reasons that were very logical, have switched to a different tour and opened those 2 spots up for next August. So that's available for anybody who's interested. Reach out to me, and happy to share the information. And then we're going back for the same autumn week in 2027. It'll be the 13th of September through the 20th, which means being in Montreal the night before and the night after. We also stayed at the hotel together after the tour, which was a fun way to summarize the trip together, and hug it out the next morning and say goodbye to everybody, because we all become friends or family over these experiences together. But we've had, so those are available, those reservations, and we've already had a few people sign up very quickly for 27. So we have some spots left for that too.
That and other trips available on markraycroft.com.
Love it. Yeah, it's been a great year, and thank you to everybody who joined us on tours this year. 10 weeks of tours was fulfilling for so many wonderful reasons, so many great laughs, and thankfully everything worked this year and turned out. So we're doing the same next year, and if keep going if we can.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Is Pili going to join you again?
Yes, Pili will be at muskox, and Pili will be at all of the caribou weeks, and who knows about the others? Possibly. There was other things this year that limited Pili's time afield, but all good now, and looking forward to next year. So whenever I can, I am very grateful for Pili's energy and enthusiasm and co-guiding partnership.
Thank you. Yeah, and I want to say thanks to our guests. They just made it. I mean, we can take people to these incredible places, but ultimately, it's our guests that make it just so exciting and interesting, and to get everybody's perspective and viewpoints and their how they respond to these new places, these animals. It's just wonderful to see. Wonderful to have that communal excitement. And our group was just great. So thanks you guys.
Yeah. And thank you, Pili, because it's our guests that make our podcast, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So we appreciate you coming on. It was good to have you on this format and Beyond the Wild rather than before. We did do a trip before on the old podcast in Alaska.
Yeah.
And Pili was there, my son was there, and then Mike and Missy, and that was a fun week. Or a few days. I guess it wasn't a long trip, but it was a good trip. And it was great to get to know you on that one. And thanks for coming back and being on the show.
Well, thanks for letting me on the show. It's been great fun. Big fan.
I hope so. Well, at least of one of us, right?
No.
Not everybody. There's no question.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Great team.
And thanks to, I know Mark wasn't shooting Canon on this trip, but thank you to Canon USA and Pictureline as well for sponsoring the podcast. Any and all of your wildlife photography needs can be met at Pictureline or on trips with us. So there you go.
Delighted to share.
And that's a wrap for another episode of Beyond the Wild podcast. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Pictureline.com, your online source for everything photography, and Canon USA.